Cutting your sales cycle in half sounds pretty impossible, right? But that's exactly what Sandler Trading did with HubSpot. They used Breeze, HubSpot's AI tools, to tailor every customer interaction without losing their personal touch. And the results were pretty incredible. Click-through rates jumped 25%, qualified leads quadrupled, and people spent 3 times longer on their landing pages. You can go to HubSpot.com to see how Breeze can help your business grow.
All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, May 28th. I'm John Weigell here with Mark Dent, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Big box retailers and convenience stores alike are cashing in on the gas industry. Strange, I know, considering by many accounts we're in the midst of an EV revolution, but there is still remarkable value in the gas station market as it stands. So why are Walmart, Costco, Dollar General, and others pumping their dollars into gasoline cars? We'll get to that in a bit, but first, let's give you the news in business and tech. Kicking us off today, there is a sweet spot in the otherwise stagnant U.S. restaurant industry, dessert. Almost 2/3 of the dessert establishments tracked by food data company Technomic saw positive growth last year. One explanation for this? Young diners are increasingly skipping expensive full meals in favor of cheaper sweet treats. Sounds healthy. Cookies, specifically crumble, have propelled the dessert category's gains in previous years, but multiple ice cream brands led by Van Leeuwen outpaced Crumble's growth last year. So that's why you see so many Van Leeuwens around lately. At least I do in New York. Next up, over to China, Temu parent company PDD Holdings is buckling under the weight of tariffs. The affordable e-commerce marketplace saw its first quarter net profit go down 47%, which is $2.05 billion, and U.S. listed shares of the company fell more than 17%. Ouch. From there, we go to the medical field. Femtech startup Hormona raised $6.6 million to expand its at-home hormone tests. This is somehow less exciting than the news Hormona generated last month, which is 2 SpaceX astronauts used their testing strips to see how women's endocrine systems fare in space. Next, we go to our local skies. Say it ain't so, but the big change is finally here. Southwest Airlines is going to begin charging tons of passengers for checked bags today. The new fees are $35 for the first bag and $45 for the second. This comes, Mark, after the company's 2 bags fly free policy existed for over 50 years. So today begins a new era of airline gouging.
Yeah, and a bad day, a dark day, to say the least.
Dark day.
There's been so many negative stories out of corporate America this year, but I think Southwest has to top the list.
Yeah.
They had their first layoffs in company history. They've changed their whole seating arrangement, which I think goes into effect pretty soon as well. And this bag policy, which is by far the worst move.
Yeah.
I actually just flew Southwest over this last weekend. I bought a few things when I was in Kansas City. And so on my way back, I checked a bag because I could do it for free. I didn't have to pile it all into one suitcase.
Oh, yeah.
Which was like so nice. It's the last time, I'll ever be able to do that.
Damn.
I did a story a few weeks ago just for our Sunday newsletter where I asked Claude AI to act as the CEO of, a handful of big companies that were going through some pain. And when I asked Claude to ask as the Southwest CEO, it unquestionably said that as CEO, it would never get rid of the 2 bags free policy. So I think just everyone knows that this is a really bad move.
Yeah, this bag policy, also you mentioned lining up for seats on the flight and like free flight seats. Like Southwest kind of lost everything that made it unique. I feel like the people that are Southwest loyalists loved it because of these things. And so the fact that they're going back on that and becoming just like every other airline, I don't know if it's a good business decision. It seems like Claude doesn't think so either.
Yeah. Claude totally disapproves.
Yeah. And finally here, 77% of Americans want tech companies to slow AI development down to make sure they get it right. That's per an Axios Harris poll, leaving just 23% rooting for what's going to actually happen at the end of all this in my mind. So Mark, looks like most Americans want to lower the pace. I don't know if the companies will comply.
I'm guessing they won't, but one of the more striking things about AI is that the people who do work for the AI companies I mean, they often have some of the same misgivings and fears and concerns about AI as a general people.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's why it's especially crazy that we are very unlikely to see AI development slow down, because it's a race that's, both about building a company for the major players that are in it and just sort of trying to gain international supremacy within AI.
Right.
And those two factors there's no chance that it's going to slow down, even though clearly Americans don't want it. I would love to look and see if there's some poll from like 1992 where they're asking Americans, do you want to see the pace of the internet slow down? I'm sure some did, but I can't imagine it would be nearly 4 out of every 5.
Yeah, maybe it's a little more controversial these days with AI, but in an earlier point that you made, we have seen people leave these huge companies. A lot of people in leadership positions left OpenAI when it became a little more aggressive in its development. So yeah, we are seeing people in the companies themselves kind of not excited about how fast it's moving. And they're claiming, some of them, that it's dangerous. So I guess the American public sees it in a very similar way.
Yeah, well, the American public, we get it right sometimes,
Sometimes we might.
Okay, look, side hustles fail when they consume all of your time. I mean, every single bit of it. The pros, though, work smarter with AI doing all the heavy lifting. To help you out, we just dropped the Side Hustle Accelerator database. You can search your exact problem for your side hustle, grab the perfect prompt, and get results. If you're struggling with marketing, content, and customer service, it's all solved in just seconds. This isn't just another tool, guys. It's your unfair advantage in a spreadsheet. So stop asking AI the wrong questions and start scaling with what actually works. You can get it for free in the link in our show notes. And you can stop right now, actually. Why don't you take a look down at those show notes and tap the link. You don't want to sleep on this.
Okay, on to the main story today. We're talking gasoline. That's right. EVs are making waves across the nation and globally, but a lot of companies like Costco, Sam's Club, Walmart are going in on gas and rigging up gas stations at their storefronts. So, Mark, what's going on here? What do you make of all this?
Yeah, Costco, Sam's Club, and Walmart in particular are really trying to build a lot more gas stations. Depending on where you live, you've probably seen them from time to time at Sam's Clubs and Walmarts especially. I think right now Walmart has roughly 400 gas stations, and it added 20 last year. Mm-hmm. This year, according to Modern Retail, it's hoping to add 45 more, and to add even more than that on an annual basis over the next few years, assuming that all goes well. And Costco, meanwhile, they only have members-only gas stations, and that's the same with Sam's Club. And Costco is going to have longer hours, for instance, at some of their gas stations to try and make more money off of gasoline.
Yeah. And, even outside of those big box retailers, there's also like another company that's mentioned in this report that really jumped out at me, which is Dollar General. Have you seen a Dollar General with a gas station before?
I got to say that I haven't. Apparently, there's only around 40 of them, most of which are in the South. The first location was in Alabama. I've not been to Alabama in probably about 20 years. So I got to get back for one
this,
thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, my only question here, after not looking into enough research into Dollar General at all, I'll admit, is the gasoline going to be $1 per gallon or, $1.75? Is it going to be a bargain? I'm wondering.
It's going to be cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be a little bit cheaper, at least, if they get it together right.
That's a good point. So I guess the big question here is kind of like what I was saying up top. Why move to gas now? Every week we come on this show, we talk about the rise of electric vehicles, Tesla, BYD, other companies around the world. So how come these companies are doubling down on the gas market? I would think that they would at least do both gas and EV chargers of some kind.
I think there's probably more money in it for them for gasoline. Mm-hmm. That's the most obvious reason. They're just trying to sort of diversify their offerings. Walmart already sells literally almost everything when you consider its online offerings and its in-store offerings.
Right.
And now that they're going to have way more gas stations, I mean, what can you not get there? It's a one-stop shop kind of thing. And now you can even fill up with gas, run inside really quick like it's a real gas station. I don't know, and buy a book, buy some ramen noodles, buy whatever it is you might buy at a Walmart.
Wow. The wait time is about to be horrendous for anybody behind somebody at a Walmart gas station.
Yeah, seriously. That would be a huge concern of mine if I were ever filling up there. And, Walmart especially has been in the news with tariffs over the last week, where they've commented about how they are probably going to have to start raising some of their prices. So gasoline is something that, regardless of price, people will buy. And we know that's the case because of the year 2022, when the average price for a gallon of gasoline in the U.S. reached a peak of $5.19 that summer. Wow. And that did not really affect demand all that much. And, people have been wondering, I think, for decades, like, what's the price that Americans wouldn't pay for gas?
Yeah.
We haven't seen it yet. And we saw it go all the way up to $5 on average.
Yeah. And Walmart has made their business on offering things for less. So I would even think that Walmart could potentially offer gasoline for a little less than their competitors even.
Yeah, to some degree. I mean, gasoline at your average gas station, it's not a loss leader, but they make more of their profits, at least, proportionally, on, candy and chips and sodas and cigarettes and stuff. Walmart can absolutely at least come close to making gasoline a loss leader. They could put the price down and really force their competitors to kind of meet them at that amount because, someone will fill up and then just go buy whatever else that they can sell at a higher margin inside the store.
Right.
One thing that could work against Walmart, Sam's Club, Costco, Dollar General, et cetera, is that their locations, they're in the middle of a city or in the middle of a suburb, et cetera. They're oftentimes not right next to the highway. And the location matters a lot.
Sure.
There was a National Association of Convenience Stores survey that said about half of adults pick their gas station based on location. So
convenience.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that is something that Walmart will probably have to combat because I don't know how many Walmarts I've seen coming off of I-95 or anything like that. But Walmart is able to disrupt this market in another way because Costco, if we look at Costco, 12% of Costco's sales in 2024 were gas, which is an insanely high amount for this company. But when you also take into account that Costco is a private service, you have to pay to be a member of Costco. Walmart, you could just go up and do whatever you want. You could be there, you could get gas. So that's a big edge for them in the field, at least.
Honestly, yeah. I'm surprised that Walmart only has about 400 gas stations right now.
Same.
I would have thought it was a lot more just based on what you just said about Costco and Sam's Club, which have had gas stations for a very long time, especially Sam's Club, that I can think of going all the way back to my own childhood. I remember seeing them.
Yeah.
And it's just something that is, I think, a low risk, pretty substantial reward opportunity for Walmart.
Totally. And where does this leave EVs? All these companies investing heavily in the gasoline industry on combustion powered engines. What about EVs? I feel like that'll be another opportunity eventually for these big box retailers, but I'm wondering why they didn't capitalize on it now.
I think it's because electric vehicles, they are still the future. And that future is, I think, still a couple of decades away or perhaps longer. Like, this is still the time to really, I think, invest in gasoline because car companies themselves are investing less into their EVs and more into their hybrids or gasoline-powered cars because EV sales, they've not been declining, but their growth has been slowing. If you look at the statistics, there was about a 7% year-over-year growth in EV sales in 2024. I mean, compare that to closer to 20% and even higher than that in the year before. So people just aren't adopting them as quickly as car manufacturers originally thought that they would. And now throwing political wins where you have the Trump administration rolling back, different subsidies for things like electric car charging infrastructure, et cetera. And the electric vehicle market is just a little too unpredictable right now. But good old gasoline, it's been around for a very long time. And like I said, people will pay $5 a gallon for it. So
yeah, they will.
Yeah.
They will. And it sounds like to me that gas is king right now. It will sit on that throne for a good while.
Yeah. And I mean, Walmart is basically king too. So it's like the two kings getting together, I suppose.
A king's court, if you will. All right, and that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of HubSpot Media. Our editor is Robert Hartwig. Our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a ton more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, sign up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Hey, everybody. I've been listening to this great podcast lately. You got to check it out. It's called Content is Profit. It's hosted by Luis and Fonzie Camejo, and it's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. So, in this podcast, you can discover the secrets and strategies on how your business can achieve the frictionless sale. We talk about frameworks, strategies, tactics, and bring special guests to bring you all the information you need in order to turn your content into profit. Recently, they did a whole episode on micro creators and UGC and how those things are transforming the social media industry, especially for profit. They had a guest on, William Gassner, who is the co-founder of Stack Influence. So definitely check that episode out if you want to learn more about the social media landscape as it is currently. You can listen to Content as Profit wherever you get your podcasts.